One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Serve Nebraska believes that volunteers are part of what makes Nebraska great. Each year, the Step Forward Awards honors volunteers from across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Welcome into The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weekends. This is The Breeze. I'm Harrison on the ones and twos. No DP just yet. We might be able to get him in here. You can imagine a lot of people out in this area. Some weather delays for those flying in the air. So we'll see. He might be here for the second segment, or he had to hold back off just a little bit yet. It was a great weekend of hate week for college football. Nebraska, unfortunately, fell on the wrong side of it. But nonetheless, a lot of awesome games to break into. But Haas, just to start things off, how's it going this Sunday morning?
Good. Happy Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You too. How was your Thanksgiving weekend before we get too far?
So Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. We typically have 3 Thanksgivings, and the third one's tonight. And so for me, a holiday that's not tied around money and gifts and things to go generate income for lots of places. It's actual, like, I'm thankful for this. I'm around family. I'm around people I care about. It's just remembering things that we're grateful for and having gratitude. To me, like, that's a genuine holiday. Every holiday, there's something involved. Valentine's Day, you're forced to go spend money. Christmas, you're forced to go spend money. And I understand Thanksgiving, you're spending money on food and stuff like that, but you're also remembering the things that you have and hopefully giving to others if you're doing well and making sure that you are thankful for all the things you have. So for me, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, and I celebrate it with my best friend on Thursdays, then my in-laws typically on Fridays, and then my own family either Saturday or Sunday, depending on how things are going. Because back in the day, we would try to do all that in like a 24, 36-hour span, and it's not a wise thing if you really want to get all your fixings in.
Yeah, the logistics would be tough to line up on that one. That's a lot going on. But yeah, you're right. As I get older, definitely when I'm younger, I'm looking at Thanksgiving. Yeah, it's a fun holiday. Cool. I get the day off. Maybe I get an extended weekend. But yeah, the older you get, it's nice. It's probably the least stressful holiday there is now. Like, I just got to show up. Maybe I got to bring a dish. Worst case scenario. That's more of a problem for those who are eating it than me actually cooking it. So that's as hard as it is, man. I got to whip up one dish, and that's the end of my sacrifice. And then you just get to hang out with family. But it's awesome. What's your go-to Thanksgiving meal? Ham, turkey? Are you going rogue, going turducken? What do you guys normally whip out for Thanksgiving?
So for two of them, it's turkey, and then typically for the third one, since my parents are Persian, we'll do some kind of Persian type meal. Just so we're not just all out on turkey for 3 days straight. So we'll do tonight. We're doing barli polo, which is rice and lima beans, and then it's grilled kebabs. So it's actually really good. I don't know if Nebraska has. Good. I don't know if Nebraska has Persian food restaurants.
I don't know what you mean, man. We're quite the culture melting pot out here in the middle of nowhere. You'd be surprised. I think there's an Indian restaurant, a few places around that you can change it up. But yeah, it's ham and turkey for me every time. Give me one side before we get to some real sports talk here. And again, if you guys want to join the show, shout out your favorite Thanksgiving meal or what you even had. 402-464-5685, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo Channel 951. But Haas, what's that one side you have to have? I'm simple. I'm a Nebraskan, grew up in Northeast Nebraska on the farm. Give me mashed potatoes and gravy. I need it. It's got to be great gravy. You can't have the powder. Make it from scratch. Unfortunately, I can't do it, but my mom knows how to whip it up. I have to learn that one for sure, but I have to have solid mashed potatoes and gravy on the side.
Stuffing for me.
Okay, yeah.
All about stuffing.
I like it.
It just depends on how it's made, and the people that make the stuffing, they make it really well. So on Thursday, half my plate was stuffing, and then it was everything else.
Got to get those carbs in. It's going to be busy winter ahead, I'm sure.
All right. So with that said, I typically don't eat carbs. And so I've gained 8 pounds since Thursday. And it's just crazy. Like 8 pounds in like 4 days is just unheard of. It's like, all right. My body is like, what are these things? Sugar, pie, ice cream.
I will say, yeah, if someone brings out the pumpkin pie, that's problems. Like, I can't stop. Someone's got to cut me a slice. Otherwise, I'm just going to go up there. I'll eat the whole tray one by one. But yeah, it's awesome. It's unfortunate. The only bad thing about Thanksgiving ending is, yes, Christmas is here. But again, you got talked about all the commercials that are coming up. Start buying the gifts, which is fun. It is fun to do, but it takes a little more thinking, memory, because the worst thing you can do about Christmas is forget about somebody that you need to buy a gift for. But nonetheless, it'll be an exciting time. And again, we'll have the ticket nice and warm in here. If you guys ever want to join us, 1040 on O Street. Got a cup of warm coffee. Listen to your favorite sports talents. And again, we'll have Haas on here on the weekends. We'll have our regular crew on the weekdays. But Haas, where do you want to start? There was a million things that went on over Thanksgiving weekend. We had football, of course. Interesting things in the NBA, and obviously some WWE as well. And I know DP was at one of those events. So I'll leave it to you. Where do you want to start off here?
Well, WWE just had a crazy night, and DP's texting me an hour and a half ago. I'm still on a plane in Chicago trying to get de-iced so we can fly back home. Mm-hmm. So the night that DP had, I didn't join him this time, but hopefully we'll be at the Rumble and WrestleMania together. For the wrestling fans out there, there was so much that happened in like the last 6 minutes of Survivor Series. And the show opened up so well with the women's War Games match. But the way that the cash-in was going to happen by Rhea Ripley and Seth Rollins was through a table, and the Chicago fans were just absolutely bonkers. the text that DP would send, he's just like, this is the loudest I've ever been. Like this is just so loud. And when Triple H said it in the press conference, he was saying that the wood acoustics on the top and the 17,000 fans and just how energized they were, the sound would just reverberate back into the stadium. When we were at Ford Field for SummerSlam, I didn't think there was that much energy. And DP would explain, he's like, look, there's 70,000 fans and it's still open. Like the noise is going up and out, so it's not coming back in. So with that cozy 17,000 arena and the noise coming back in and the fans chanting for CM Punk all night, knowing that he's not coming, but if I can chant for him that he'll show up, that maybe they could speak it into existence. And so with how loud they were all night, Randy Orton coming back after being gone for 550 days and having
I know that
so
was
many.
DP's highlight. He couldn't stop talking about that before he left. He's like, RKO, that's all you need to know. That's why I'm going.
And after 2 spinal fusions, he looked yoked. Like he was just in the weight room the whole time because he's like twice as big as he used to be. And so with that, there were a couple really cool spots. There was an RKO where they threw JD McDonough from the top of the cage into Randy Orton's RKO. So that's probably one of the coolest RKOs you'll ever see. So there's that. And then
I did watch it on social media about 5 times in a row, but yeah. It was awesome.
After all that, CM Punk's music came on, and I'm like, no, they're just messing with Chicago. They're messing with Chicago. Like Vince McMahon's gonna come out and strut, or Triple H is gonna come out and strut, and it was actually CM Punk, and it was awesome. It was so cool.
Where does that rank for you on your entrances? Because that's one where it was kind of in the air, but you, like you said, you're waiting for waiting for kind of like when they pull the football. Man, I'm blanking on my cartoon knowledge. Snoopy, there we go. when they pull the football from him, where was that entrance rank for you?
I mean, for him to be gone for almost 10 years and to come back to wrestling in WWE, to come back home, to know how hated he is in the locker room. So Seth Rollins really hates him. Roman Reigns really hates him. There's a lot of guys that just really despise him. And there's actually videos circulating showing Seth Rollins just flicking him off and cursing. Because they cut it short. Like they showed it for like a minute and that was it. And then they cut it. They ended at the pay-per-view. And it's like, that's it? That's all you're going to show us? And so it could have just been how angry Drew McIntyre was, how angry Seth Rollins was. And it's wrestling. It could be fake. Or they could actually despise the guy and be like, he's selfish. He just took away the awesome ending to the pay-per-view that we had. Because the text between me and DP was like, wow, this is a really good pay-per-view. This is a really good ending. And then that happened. And then CM Punk came back. And so with that, it's like, okay, the guy with the second main belt is no longer important anymore. The guy with the second main belt gets pushed down. And what was cool about last night was the 5 main guys, they all had extra loud entrances. So Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and then when Randy Orton finally came, they all had massive electricity. And so with that, it showed that we could be a group, we could be together and still get our attention. Well, U5 didn't equal CM Punk. Randy Orton gone for 550 days didn't equal CM Punk. And there's wrestling fans out there that hate him too. But with that said, Triple H knows what's best for business. And what's best for business is just having the ability to talk about something, whether you love it or hate it. And CM Punk got so much attention. So we'll pause a little bit here. If people want to text in or call in and talk about Survivor Series, we could do that. Try to buy some time if DP is able to land the plane and talk from the plane. Okay, you can turn on your phones now if he wants to do that. Who knows? But that's a pay-per-view that is that's going to be talked about for a very long time because it did one of 2 things. It either killed AEW or it's going to internally kill WWE. And there's going to be one-offs where now Drew McIntyre leaves WWE. Seth Rollins is going to go take a 1-year break. There's going to be upset wrestlers be like, I'm here and you're not going to give me the attention. You're going to give it to someone else. And the irony of all that is CM Punk was the hard worker. CM Punk went to every house show and every pay-per-view back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, and 14, but he wasn't getting the main event of every WrestleMania or every pay-per-view. He only main evented once, and he was a champion for 435 plus days. So the irony of all that is now he's the outside attraction. He's the part-timer, maybe. And all these guys that have put in all the hard work, they're getting shoved aside. So, whew.
How do you see in this playing out? And then hopefully we can get DP in here, but I'm not sure if he's landing straight in Lincoln or if he's landing straight in Omaha. So we might have a drive ahead of him yet as well. But just real quick before we get there, in your eyes, as DP, we're one historian short, but in your historian knowledge, all right, how do you think WWE plays this going forward?
So,
with AEW and everything.
They don't care about AEW, and they say that they're like, why does the major leagues talk about AA baseball? They don't, and I know that upsets people, but AEW majorly messed up by letting someone like CM Punk go.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Number two, with this, there's so many stories that can happen. So you could have CM Punk and Brock Lesnar fight, and they're both Paul Heyman guys. You can have CM Punk and Roman Reigns go, and that's two of the top stars in WWE. You can have CM Punk and Randy Orton go, and it could be over. You took my return, and I came back. I was the exciting part of Survivor Series. No, you weren't. It was in Chicago. CM Punk, the Chicago-made Punk, was what made Survivor Series, not Randy Orton. So that's a story that's easy. It's Seth Rollins and CM Punk, so that's an easy story. So anything involving Paul Heyman, because Paul Heyman and CM Punk are so close, that's an easy story. So there's so many stories that could happen. You could have a Cody Rhodes CM Punk. It just depends on is CM Punk going to be good or bad. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious what the listeners of the ticket think of CM Punk. I like him. I think there's so much you can do with him, but you'll often hear, oh, well, he's such a bad person backstage and he's so selfish and he shouldn't have done what he did to the Young Bucks and to Jack Perry's kid. Maybe those people are jerks. Who puts real glass on the mat before a match? Like, you deserve to get punched out for that.
I'd love to learn, how much of it's real animosity and how much of it is, for the writing. Because it does, you do have a point there where it's like, I do wonder sometimes, I'm like, they might not really like this guy at all. Like, everything he does seems to get a negative reaction. And sometimes, I don't even know if that was scripted or if it's just coming to reality here where CM Punk is just not liked back there with the other guys. But again, you guys are always free to join in. 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line. And again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and download channel 951. We do have Francis says hi from his side in Nigeria. That's cool. I always knew that most of our listeners were over there, but awesome to get you in here as well. And from the text line, we do have Gorilla Bear saying, I think he should try UFC again.
He'll get murdered.
He did put a LOL at the end of that, so he knows what that would entitle. But yeah, that'd be crazy. Is there any wrestler right now that you'd actually like to see to go to UFC that you think that could compete at a high level? Because that's honestly a good conversation. Yeah, Brock Lesnar. He's a guy
Bobby
just the wrestling he has in general too. He's just going to be a tough guy to get around at that size, and that skill on the mat, being able to wrestle.
Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley would be a good one. Would Rhea Ripley make a good UFC fighter?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. She always strikes me as like a UFC fighter that could make some serious buzz in the UFC world as well.
She's got the Midas touch. She's so golden right now with everything she does.
Mm-hmm. And she seems to be like a favorite. They're really pushing her out a lot more lately.
She finally got to wrestle. So she rarely wrestles, and she's the women's champion, but she is the Geppetto of all of Monday Night Raw with everything she does. So she really controls all the storylines, and in a male-dominated segment, she's in charge of it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, so I think I'd put her up there. Yeah, CM Punk's going to get killed if you put him out there. Gunter's not making the call. Trying to think who else we got out there. I think most of it, the order that makes sense most is UFC fighters to WWE. Once they get to that route, it's like going backwards, trying to get that age back. That's where you run into problems. But I do like to see that direct pipeline there. And that's something I hope to see continue in the future, because that'd be a way to get more and more people that just haven't been used to it, that kind of grew up when wrestling wasn't dominating every Monday night on pay-per-view like it was for you guys. Like when I was growing up, there was wrestling fans, but it wasn't the talk of the town. Like wrestling for you guys, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that just pretty much dominated television for years, and everyone was watching that same thing, and it inspired generations. That's why it is today. But today I just feel like there's not enough people that they can get into it at that younger fan base, unless they already have people inside the family that are into the wrestling that can kind of educate you on the names and the titles. But for the most part, like the big names that most people know seem to be all like the UFC carryovers, or just the classics like Rey Mysterio. Obviously RKO is a big one, and then John Cena. But like, what do you think be the best way for pro wrestling to continue to get young fans? We'll call them 13 and up, at 13 to 21 age. What would get those guys into wrestling? Let them know the stories so they can follow along with it.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Another way to look at all this was they just had a pay-per-view without their two top guys, and it was probably the best pay-per-view in a while. And the pay-per-view overall wasn't that good. It was just the last couple minutes that were really good. And so there's no Roman Reigns, there's no LA Knight, there's no Brock Lesnar, and the pay-per-view was still that good. And so with that, WWE has done a really good job of making the storylines relevant this time of year, which never happens. Usually you could turn off wrestling after SummerSlam and then turn it back on around Royal Rumble time. But now there's things that you actually want to tune into. And the things that came to my mind last night were, if you're going to do this, if you're going to have Randy Orton come back after almost 2 years gone and just dominate and be awesome, or have CM Punk come back after 10 years in the same pay-per-view, what are you going to do for WrestleMania? It has to have The Rock. It has to have Roman Reigns Rock now, because you set the bar and you have all these expectations and you keep raising the bar. I don't need another Cody and Roman that happened last year. This is the WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 10, HBK and Razor Ramon. WrestleMania 20, it was Eddie Guerrero finally winning it. It was Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan beating Batista and Randy Orton. So WrestleMania 40, what story is that going to have? And usually the ones that end in a 0 are the best WrestleManias, other than WrestleMania 17. So all those things said, it's something bigger, biggest has to happen for WrestleMania 40. Now, let's take a step back and save some time on wrestling in case DP does show up.
Go for it.
It's kind of like, is CM Punk going to show up? Is DP's music going to hit later on the breeze?
We'll get the people walking by the streets to start chanting DP. If he shows up, we can call it out of thin air here. But we got about 3 minutes left. We'll go ahead and tee up what you're about to say here. We can dive into it on the next one.
It's not in a particular order, but Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, Washington, Oregon, Florida State. There's a team I didn't put there that some people are like, maybe they should be there. Those are the 6 teams that get to vie for 4 spots. Do you agree that
is the one team Texas?
Oh, and Texas. I don't. No, look, people are going to say Alabama lost to Texas. Alabama beats Georgia. They are in. Whoever wins the SEC championship game is in.
Yes, I agree with
no
that.
negotiation on that. Michigan loses to Iowa. They're still in.
Washington loses to Oregon.
Then Oregon could take it.
Or Texas, no matter what, I don't care. You're not taking that spot.
Well, Florida State wins big. They're undefeated and won the ACC.
Yeah, I think
they lost their quarterback. So it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I would take a one-loss Georgia over Ohio State. I would take a one-loss Georgia over Texas. That's where I'm going with Texas being gone.
Okay, we'll dive into that on the next one. And again, if you guys want to give your playoff format, how you think it should lay out, how you think it's going to lay out, 402-464-5685. You can put them in order, not any order at all. We'll go through them nonetheless. 402-464-5685 is the Starter Heyman text line. We'll throw it to break here on the Breeze. See if we can get DP to appear out of thin air here if we say his name enough during the break. But nonetheless, you guys are always welcome to join the show through the streams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. This is The Breeze. That's Haas. I'm Harrison. Talk to you guys on the other side.
Houses, they're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that Potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids. First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse. Beep, beep, beep.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now. In our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into Ticket Weekends. I am Harrison Arns on a cold Sunday afternoon now, or I guess, afternoon, 12:30 now, here with Haas Tabrizi, host of The Breeze. As always, no DP quite yet. If we're lucky, we'll get him in here on the third segment, but no promises, as he has constantly been handling the weather delays, trying to get back home after watching some WWE himself. But nonetheless, if you guys want to join in on the show, 402-464-5685. We're talking about playoff football brackets, what it's going to look like. You can give us your 4 teams or any thoughts on any specific team, any order. Doesn't matter. We'll read them as they come in. You can always comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo channel 951 as well. So right now, kind of as it sits, you got Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Ohio State. Are you still putting Ohio State, Michigan in there no matter what, I assume?
I don't want to hear about Ohio State. There's no Ohio State.
Dropping them out. Okay.
Ohio State's.
So you got Georgia, Washington, Michigan, and then who was that 4th team you slid up in there?
So that's not how I was looking at it. So the way I think it should be done is it's a 1-game playoff between Oregon and Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with you there.
So the winner of that game is in. The winner of Bama and Georgia is in. The winner of Bama and Georgia
winner of Bama and Georgia is in. I agree there.
So we have 2 teams that we know now, no matter what. Those are 2 playoff games.
That they're going to be locked. So you got Washington, Oregon, or Georgia and Alabama.
Correct.
One of the 2.
So
or 2 of the 4.
Those are the locks that I can say. I'm 99.9% sure that someone from the Big Ten will be in. So why wouldn't it be the team that beat Ohio State, beat Penn State, had the best regular season?
And Michigan has to be in, to me.
Regardless of winning, if Michigan wins or loses to Iowa, they are a lock to be in.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Unless they lose by like 40, but Iowa doesn't know how to score more than 12 points. So I just don't see that happening.
They actually know how to score 13, Haas. I'll have you know.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah. I'm sure you did. All right, go ahead. Keep going.
Punt.
I'll tell you what, real quick anecdote, since we're on it. Out of all the Iowa fans, those guys put a smile on my face. I was like, you know what? You get it. It's just a straight gray sweatshirt punt. That's all it was. And I was like, I couldn't even be mad. I'm like, at least they understand who they are. And they're taking 10 wins, knowing that punting is their best weapon. But we'll save that for I'm sure you're integrated enough in the Husker culture at this point. We'll save that. We'll tuck that away towards the end there because I really do want to get your thoughts. It's kind of sad when Nebraska loses. I'll go to like the college football threads, like the main threads, just to hear other teams feel sorry for me. That's just kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I just tell me that it's gonna be okay. But we'll dive into that later.
A sign about special teams or people too, or something like that. Give the special teams coordinator a raise.
Honestly.
So we just said there's 3 teams that are definitely in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oregon, Washington winner, Bama, Georgia winner, Michigan, Iowa winner. So now comes the hard part. Is Georgia in? No way. Cue the music. You can't just let them walk in like that.
Man of the hour. Well, I wish I would have had the music queued up here. I'll be fair here. I wasn't ready for the queue up, but nonetheless.
No, hold on. I'll talk for like another 5 seconds. Cue the music. You get the music ready. So we have 3 games that we're sure will dictate, or 3 teams that will definitely be in. The winner of the Pac-12, the winner of the SEC, and Michigan, regardless of what happens. So then the problem comes, what happens when Florida State's undefeated and Georgia has 1 loss? What happens when Texas has 1 loss? And there's going to be those crybabies from Ohio State saying, well, we should have been there. We played cheaters. No. It really boils down to, does Florida State go undefeated, and are they the 4th team in, or is Georgia the 4th team in? So that's the biggest issue.
We'll have to discuss it, but nonetheless, we do have some breaking news here. As we, man, this is not the best intro music, but you're gonna have to work with it. The man of the hour, DP, speaking into existence. We've talking about him all show long. He finally joins Breeze here. Breeze to get his input here. Nonetheless, had a great weekend. Got through all the flight travel problems going on there. I was wondering. I was getting a few texts this morning about people being like, "Yeah, I'm up in the air if I'm going to be back or not." But I'm glad to see you here nonetheless.
Yeah, Chicago is different right now. Well, it's getting to weather you guys got yesterday.
Yeah.
And of course, there are several events going on in Chicago, and so a lot of folks are trying to get out of town. A lot of folks. There are a ton of Huskers in Chicago. There were a ton of Husker athletes in Chicago. Just in the airport alone, like I'm Emmett Olson.
Emmett Olson is
like there's a bunch of Husker athletes in Chicago. So coming back to town, there were probably 3-4 athletes that I can think of. So. 2 hours on the tarmac, which high on my list of things to never, ever, ever go through. 2 hours on, because you're on the plane and you're set in, like you're buckled in.
Phones are off at that point, right?
Yeah, like you're, and some people, don't have them. Some people have them, but then you're just sitting there, and this flight just was not good about communicating. Like they were not good. Like, we're going to de-ice, and then okay, all right, we see the line. Like I always sit window, so I can see out, and I see on my side, I see the line of planes trying to de-ice, and it's a long line, but it's not happening quick anyway. And then you get close to it, and then it stops moving. And I'm like, don't you dare tell me we're going to turn this thing around again, right? Don't do that. Finally, literally 2 hours on the dot. I was supposed to get here an hour and a half ago. 2 hours to get in. And
when you said 11:15, I kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of scoff because I was talking to Chris Ramsey, who's also on the road. He's in that same weather band.
Yeah, it was not cool at all. So, so then I just Ubered from the airport down to the station. I still got my luggage. So there's a couple of things. Of course, last night was fantastic. And I had opportunity to do the presser, and afterwards got to have some conversations with Triple H and Byron Saxton and Cody and I asked them, like, okay, it wasn't just us. This was a special night. Like, this was a special night. And I've been going to wrestling events for 40 years, all over the country. And I was telling Hoss, I've never felt anything like I did last night. Prior to the pop, just the vibe in the room felt different. And I was like, oh man, this is on something here. Like, I've been to WrestleManias and it wasn't this hype. I've been to Royal Rumbles that weren't the last one that Hoss and I went to. It was nice, but it wasn't anything like this. It was nothing like this. And I asked, was this different? And they go, yeah, we were in the back, kind of giddy. We were kind of giddy because, in most cases, the WWE knows when it's in one of its performers' town.
Right.
And that adds to it. But it was hype from the get-go. Like, it was hype from the very beginning. So it was cool. And I had to do a thing. I was like, all right, since y'all hold it down, I went through kind of what we could do. So Harrison, I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice on the spot.
Is it Gunther merch?
But here's the thing. There's zero chance. But this was the new hot one. The Yeet shirts. The Yeet shirts from Jey Uso. Like, these are the Yeet.
There you go, Haas.
So every time he threw a blow,
Yeet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Yeet shirts were fire. And then for Tabrizi, I had to go in a different route. I'll let Harrison hold it up.
Is it this one? I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Let's see. Let's find out here.
I can't see you, so I.
You got a John Cena shirt?
No. Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Well done. That's perfect.
So, and then it was funny too, because you go through and the old adage of paying attention to the rooms that you're in. And so I'm on the plane, and I did it. Haas understands this because we did it when we were at the previous event together. But I'm there, and I'm in the presser, and the guy's just handing these out. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, okay. And I just slam them in my bag. So he gives me like 4, and he just throws them at me, and I put them in my bag. But I'm stuck on the plane, and by my feet is the bag. And it's 2 hours, and I haven't eaten. So, Harrison, this is what you get, bro.
Let's Slim Jims.
Step into a Slim.
We'll
look,
take
bro.
it, man.
Look,
It's good
bro,
protein. Proud sponsor of the WWE. Let's go.
It was, and there was a lady sitting next to me on the plane, and I pull out, these are the long ones, and they had short ones too. And I pull them out of the bag, and she's looking at me with this look like, I'll be your best friend. I'll be your best friend.
Guys, happen to Slim Jim with you.
So she rips in that thing, and I mean, she goes after it. She goes, yeah, I had to get up at 5:30 to catch this plane, and didn't have a breakfast. And that was just, oh man, and it was so funny. So then the people around us were kind of looking like, hey, bro.
I bet you got it.
So I was going deep.
Come on, Santa Claus.
Right?
Is that all you got in that bag?
Black
Just Slim Jims?
It was that pretty much is what people were thought. They were like, bro, what is going on over there? Like,
what do you do for a living? You Slim Jim salesman?
Yeah, like it was like, bro, you got any more of Slim Jims? I was like, so it was fantastic just to get through and have it. But man, look, last night was amazing, and just to have the fans so connected to trying to figure, okay, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen? They were like, and the performances were so good. The fights were so good leading up to the big one, And they got to think about it this way. And this is how good this was, which should really kind of scare the WWE, but they're just winning right now. They're doing record business. So they're fine because it's sold out, and the cheapest ticket was like $180. And like for WWE, bro, I used to go for like $8 back when I was in college.
I'm glad you said that, because I asked Haas earlier trying to get the newer fans engaged. Sounds like it's not a problem. They're selling out. The cheapest is 108.
No, it's UFC level that the seats where they had the media were going for like $800. And I was like, okay, I'm going to shut up and enjoy myself because these $800 seats. And it was just really cool to watch people be engaged at that level. And then Haas, another thing that happened, I captured a video of just walking in. Luckily, Haas, my hotel was literally like right across the street from the arena, but it's still like a half-mile walk, and the walk up is just a line of people. It was amazing, and they had like 4 entrances you can get in, and all of them had a line that led to the next line.
I'm impressed. Shout out Chicago for having the fans ready to go. That surprised me that Chicago was that into it.
Oh,
Chicago is the town for wrestling fans.
Is it really?
It's New York. It's New York, and then Chicago. It used to be Charlotte. Charlotte still, right?
Call it a blue blood city, whatever you want to call it.
Well, those are like they're wrestling towns. Houston is a wrestling town. Houston will fight you for it. Like they're not gonna let anybody, because there was so much of Texas wrestling that happened, and wherever the headquarters, Atlanta is its own, but Chicago had 3. So CM Punk is from Chicago. And that was a big thing. And that they kind of planned to take over the event, and they were hoping that they didn't think he was going to come back until they thought he was going to, until like up close. But Seth Rollins and Becky also have a house in Chicago. So it was all over that, which led to one of the backstories behind this. One of the backstage stories was there's a clip of Seth after this thing, and he's pissed. He's really pissed off because they literally told the talent before that this wasn't happening. They told them it wasn't happening. And there were some, because some were just, I can tell you that you short-termed Randy Orton because you brought back CM Punk. That was supposed to be Orton's night. And that was supposed to be Seth's night. And then the whispers were, with a smirk, was this was the 30th anniversary of the Montreal Screwjob, one of the great wrestling controversies ever. That was the 30th anniversary. There was zero chance they weren't going to pay homage to that. Like, there was zero chance they weren't going to, like, and to see the wrestlers in the ring away from the camera, just looking at each other like, what are we supposed to do? Like, they didn't know. Like, it was awkward and awesome at the same time because they didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting one of them to know, but none of the people in the ring. I could tell you there may be a couple of folks in the back who knew or at least thought. But they all thought if they let Orton come out at all, because the pitch and sell last night was that Orton hadn't made it to the ring. And everybody thought, okay, that's how they're going to do this thing, right? Orton can't make it, have CM Punk. Except they thought, nope, let this thing ride. The pop for Orton was so good. And then to have it go left. And I mean, it was 35 minutes, 40 minutes after the final bell, where they finally cleared the arena. It took nobody was moving. They weren't going anywhere. And then another 30 minutes or so where the wrestlers were talking to each other and they were cornered up. Like, it was, Haas, it was spectacular. Like, just to sit there and go. And then this is just for Haas. Like, Haas will understand this. So he knows that, like, I've known Charlotte Flair since she was a teenager. Like, she was a kid. But, and then Becky, and we've always talked about, okay, favoritism and levels and that sort of thing. Charlotte Flair walked in there last night. That was the first night that Charlotte walked in like the lady. Charlotte came to the presser. She had on this black leather head-to-toe suit with heels. When I dropped my phone. Haas, I dropped my phone. I was like, whoa, what is happening here, Charlotte? I was like, And that was one. There were several times in the night where I wanted Haas to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them. Because when she walked in, because Becky walked in with like this pajama set, right? Like it was like pajamas, plaid pajamas. Typically Becky, right? I'm like, okay. Charlotte walked in that room and it was like she was all glammed up after just fighting for 45 minutes and looked like she was just on the runway. And I was like, what is happening here?
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, what was my question?
Yeah. Oh no, the guy, he totally muffed his question.
My God, he was so awkward.
It was brutal.
We gotta go. We got a quick like breakdown of it. Just or how bad was it?
Oh,
before we go to break.
Well, he asked. He started to ask like that. Now they're they came in together, and that now they're the veterans, and now
with how long you've been in wrestling,
you're old now, and like you're old now. You're not the young ones anymore, and you've been doing this a long time.
And your careers are almost over.
Yeah, and the dudes, and they're looking at him like, bruh, I would take these pumps off and kick you in the teeth. It was spectacular. All of it was fantastic. Like I said, the stuff behind the scenes is actually pretty cool. But I want to make sure.
I mean the young talent. I'm asking about the young talent.
Yeah. Just it was terrible. And the whole time Haas was texting me, grab the mic. I'm like, bruh, look, I had talked to them away from the mics, so that was much more my thing because they're coming to Lincoln in January,
right?
And then, as it turns out, Byron Sexton is from Northern Virginia. So as we're sitting there talking, I'm like, okay, all right, bro, we got some stuff to work on. So it was a really cool night. Missed a lot of football. Caught up last night. Of course, you don't get out of the arena until
I'm sure it's
12:30, 1 o'clock. And then 5:30 to the airport to sit on a plane.
Well, at least you're here now. We're glad to have you back in Lincoln.
I'm here.
We got to throw it to break here. Maybe hear a little more stories here from the trip. But nonetheless, we got Haas, host of The Breeze, as always, DP as well. I'm Harrison on the ones and twos. We'll talk to you guys on the other side.
Join DP and Jay Foreman on Monday, November 27th at Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill from 4 to 6 p.m. They'll wrap up the regular season with Husker Online Sean Callahan and preview the month ahead. That's Monday from 4 to 6 p.m. at Tanner's at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Whether it's playing on a sports team or creating art, it's important to encourage your kids to explore their interests. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Let your child know you believe in their passions. It can contribute to your child's focus and improve the quality of their schoolwork, too. So show that budding scientist some encouragement by helping them with an experiment or play catch with your baseball enthusiast.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into The Breeze, final segment of The Breeze on Ticket Weekends. I'm Harrison on the ones and twos. DP made it back from the trip. Haas streaming in as always. And again, you guys are free to join the show. 402-464-5685. That is the starter Heyman text line. And again, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Allo, Channel 951. You can go back on YouTube and catch anything you might have missed from the morning. And of course, we will have some audio for the Nico project on the next segment as well. So plenty ahead here on Ticket Weekends. But Haas, I'll go ahead and throw it to you. I just kind of want to hear some more of this weekend. It sounded like it was probably one of the better, if not some of the best weekends you've had, being able to go watch some pro wrestling. And we're getting some pretty interesting stories here. But was there anything great that you remembered in particular from the night?
So there's lots of sports that happened, and the Niners dominating on Thursday night, and the Hail Mary throw on. Oh my gosh, what the heck was that with the 100-yard, 99-yard pick six? But one thing I want to go back. You said Texas, and I was like, there's very little chance or no chance Texas would make the championship game. They actually could. So we talked about Oregon, Washington. The winner of that game, no matter what's going, the winner of Bama, Georgia's going. Let's just say Georgia wins. Let's say Michigan wins. So there's those three that are in. If Florida State loses, then Texas is in if Texas wins. Because Alabama, Washington, they're not going to make it over Texas. So there's the one scenario. Bama has to lose and Florida State has to lose. But back to the more important thing, DP. Did you really think CM Punk was coming back?
Yeah. Yeah. The folks around it were hyperactive because everybody else was in the pool. Everybody else was throwing coins in the water, as they say. So you knew something was up. But the thought was, do you burn the Orton experience to do it? And what they worked on was, one, the thought there was a run in, right? Because if they were shorthanded, then you could run in CM Punk to kind of break things up. You could just to have him walking around the building, just as Buzz, and just to take pictures and video of him in the building. Royal Rumble's coming, so there's lots in play, and there's not a lot of clarity on what's going to happen. Think about this with the size of last night's event, that you didn't have your champion on it. I mean, listen, there was so much talk last night about the fact that people were just fed up with Roman Reigns, and I hadn't really digested that, except the fact that people were talking about it in full in the arena, that, listen, it's time to take the strap from Roman. But then the question was, to who? Like, who would you give it to? That doesn't. It was funny, Hoss. That was like that. No, but yes. Right. And they went up and down the list of who, and if you want to have a really cool show, we can go through what are the odds of who taking the strap. Gunther was really specific that was not in his purview. That wasn't in his range. And you removed several people from the possibility, and then they were trying to get to, well, what do you do with it? And in order to do it, and then who's going to take the strap from Gunther? So, and then what you want the tag team titles to be and how. it was pretty amazing just to listen to fans who dropped several $100s on tickets and another several hundred on swag and beer. And I have to say that last night there were more people who bought. They sold out of championship belts. They sold out, Hoss, that they were running from vendor to vendor to see who had what. They literally sold out of almost everything last night.
Those belts aren't cheap either.
$500 a pop.
Yeah.
$500 a pop. And then people were kind of negotiating. Like, hey, man. Hey,
I
man.
got 600.
Like, I got 6. I got 7. Listen, man, I want that one. And to be that involved and that committed to it was just really kind of interesting to watch, Hoss. It was. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the belts, with the straps in any case, shape, or form. Royal Rumble will be big. Mania will be bigger. And then 2024 will just take us to new levels. The cross-promoting and cross-branding with UFC and WWE is now taking seeds. Hoss, is going to be a fun 2024, bro. Like, pro wrestling has it. Look, they said we're doing record-breaking business. Bravo.
Does CM Punk start Raw or end Raw? That's what I'm looking for. Does he start Raw or end Raw?
We'll have to find out. We'll figure that out sooner than later, I'm sure. But nonetheless, this has been The Breeze. That's Hoss, DP. I'm Harrison on the 1s and 2s. It's been a great show. Appreciate you guys chiming in. We'll talk to you guys next week.
The holidays are drawing closer, and there's not many things better than getting the gift of relaxation. Not just for yourself, but for anyone in your life. During November, for every service you get at the Body Shop, you get entered into their drawing for a free massage gift certificate equal to your last service. This goes